Good morning students, today we are going to discuss another novel by Jane Austen and that is Northanger Abbey. Jane Austen wrote it after getting influenced by Charlotte Lennox's novel The Female Quixote published in 1752. The book was published after the death of Jane Austen along with her another novel Persuasion. So remember that these two novels, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, are the two important books that were published posthumously, and that is also a UGC NET examination question. So remember these 2 points. Alright. Another point to remember here is that it is a parody of Gothic novels of romance and terror, especially of Anne Radcliffe's Mysteries of Udolpho. Alright, so this is a parody on Anne Radcliffe's Mystery of Udolpho. Okay. So now quickly get on to the summary of this novel. Beginning with the main character of this novel is Catherine Morland. She is a young beautiful girl and she uses to read a lot of horror and gothic novels. Her real life views are actually distorted by her imagination and all those horror and gothic novels she has ever read. She has two friends, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, who takes her to the town bath to enjoy a ball party. And as she reaches the party, she meets a lot of people there, including Henry Tinley and his sister Eleanor Tinley. Tinley is a smart and he too has interest in novels, especially the Gothic novels. So Catherine and Henry shares the interest of reading novels and they become good friends. After a while, Catherine begins liking Tinley. So in the party we have other characters like James Morland, who is the brother of Catherine, and we have two other characters, that is Isabella Thorpe and John Thorpe. Isabella and John both are siblings. So all these characters become friends to one another in the party, and from here the novel goes on. Now what happens is that Isabella begins flirting with Catherine's brother James. James finds her very impressive and he too starts liking Isabella. On the other hand, John Thorpe, he tries to flirt with Catherine, but Catherine finds him arrogant. She finds him repulsive. And as the novel moves forward, we find that one day John, Isabella, James and Catherine, all these four characters go on a long drive. Henry Tinley visits Catherine's house, but she is not at home. So after all these four characters return home, Catherine gets sad that she has not met Henry Tinley. Meanwhile, during all these episodes and the upcoming episodes in the novel, Isabella and James get so close to each other that James gets engaged to Isabella. Now James wanted to marry her, but Isabella kept delaying her for the marriage. The reason is that Isabella is now into a relationship with Captain Frederick Tinley. Yes, we have another character in the novel, that is Frederick Tinley, who is none other than older brother of Henry Tinley and Eleanor Tinley. So Isabella kept on delaying James and Catherine was disheartened on looking at how Isabella can do this to her brother James. One day James came to know about Isabella's sexual relationship with Captain Frederick Tinley. Captain Frederick was a flirt. After his sexual relationship, he abandons Isabella. And from here the chapter of Isabella gets closed in the novel. James breaks up the engagement and moves on in his life. Meanwhile, John proposes to Catherine. She rejects him all at once. And as we move forward, we find that Henry and Eleanor gets a good bonding with Catherine. They both invite Catherine to visit their house. The name of this house is Northanger Abbey. So you see, from the name of this house, we got the title of this novel, Northanger Abbey. Catherine thought that this house would be an old haunted horror building just like the ones from the Gothic novels she has read. Catherine thought that there must be some old furniture, curtains in the house that will be like that of Gothic novels she has read. But as she arrives the Northanger Abbey, she finds it very pleasing. It is a big and beautiful house. She likes the house very much. And as she was roaming the house, she finds a room which has remained shut after the death of Mrs. Tinley. It has been 9 years that the room is permanently shut after her death. So Catherine thought that the father of Henry Tinley, the name of the father of Henry is General Tinley, he could have secretly murdered her mother or did something sinister to her. That's why this room has been shut for so long. And also, while talking to General Tinley, Catherine finds that there is no grief on his face when he was talking about the death of Mrs. Tinley. So something must have happened. Out of curiosity, what Catherine does was that she opens the room and gets into it. She begins investigating the room, but after a while, Henry Tinley arrives and she gets caught. Henry finds it very disappointing when Catherine tells him that his father must have done something wrong with her mother. Henry tells Catherine that it is nothing like that. His father has always loved his mother, and she must stop talking such nonsense and come out of her imagination that she has formed after reading so many Gothic novels. Life is not as same as in the novels. Catherine feels guilty. She was ashamed of herself, and now she realizes that novels are not like real life. She apologized Henry, but Henry didn't say anything. By and by, as the novel moves forward, things start getting normal once again between Henry and Catherine. Henry and Catherine's bond gets stronger, and Catherine starts visiting the Northanger Abbey once again. So as the novel moves forward, what happens is that one night General Tinley returns from London. And as soon as he arrives at house, he shouts at Catherine and asks her to leave the house immediately. Catherine is shocked. In embarrassment, Catherine leaves Northanger Abbey and returns to her home. So now the time passes by, and after 3 days, Henry visits Catherine's house and tells her the reasons of his father's anger. He explains that General Tinley was misled by John Thorpe to believe that Catherine was a very rich girl. Yes, of course, Catherine is not from a rich family. So General Tinley got very angry after listening to this by John Thorpe. That's the reason why he shouted at Catherine. But Henry makes his father understand that Catherine is a good girl. Maybe she is not from a rich family, but she is a good girl, and he wants to marry her. On the other hand, the sister of Henry, Eleanor, gets married to a general who was a rich man. So his father finds it okay, that's fine. Eleanor got her a rich man to get married, it's fine. Alright, you can also marry to Catherine. Out of happiness, he allows Henry to marry Catherine. And by the end of the novel, Catherine and Henry happily gets married. And with this, we come to the end of this novel. I hope you found the video worth your time. If you like this video, do not forget to like and subscribe the channel for more such